Prepare. That's the actual instruction Insecurity gives you before anything's even happened. Not they're cheating. Just prepare yourself. Ever catch yourself doing something completely ridiculous? Your partner says, "I'll text you later." 3 hours pass. Now you've checked WhatsApp, Instagram, their last seen, whether they're online, whether Mercury is in retrograde. At this point, you're basically conducting a criminal investigation against someone who's probably just asleep. Funny. Until you realize your brain does this every single time. That's where the trap begins. Insecurity isn't the voice that says, "They're cheating." It's the voice that whispers, "Prepare yourself," before anything has even happened. That's why Insecurity feels so convincing. It sounds responsible. It tells you checking their phone protects you. Expecting the worst prevents heartbreak. Except, has it ever worked? Reassurance feels good for a few hours. Then they reply a little slower, use one less emoji, and suddenly your brain thinks the relationship is falling apart. That isn't love becoming unstable. That's anxiety looking for another problem. Psychologist Albert Ellis argued that people are disturbed less by events than by the meaning they attach to them. Your partner being busy isn't the problem. Your interpretation is. That's why reassurance never cures insecurity. Tomorrow's fear simply invents a new question. And no amount of "I promise I love you" texts will ever out-argue a nervous system that's decided to feel unsafe. You can't reassure your way out of an interpretation problem. You can only change the interpretation itself. Real security comes from changing the habits that keep convincing your brain you're in danger. Here are 7 that actually move the needle. The first is to stop making one person your entire emotional economy. Some people don't just date someone. They accidentally hire them to be their therapist, their confidence, their proof they're lovable. That's too many jobs for one person. A secure relationship isn't built on "they make me feel worthy." It's built on "I already know my worth." One person receives love. The other constantly audits it. Every delayed reply becomes evidence. That's not intimacy. That's emotional surveillance. Next, stop checking. Every time you refresh their profile, read old messages, or watch their location, your brain learns, "I survived because I checked." No, you survived because nothing was wrong. Psychologists call this negative reinforcement. Checking briefly reduces anxiety, so your brain keeps demanding more of it. Real trust isn't knowing everything. It's surviving without needing to. Third, build a life your relationship has to compete with. When your partner becomes your only source of happiness, every small problem feels catastrophic because there's nowhere else for the disappointment to land. Secure people love deeply, but they also have friends, goals, interests, a life that still exists outside the relationship. So, a bad week with their partner doesn't collapse the whole structure of their identity along with it. Your partner should add to your happiness, not carry all of it. Fourth, stop setting silent tests. You say, "I'm fine." You're not. You hope they notice. Then you conclude, "If they loved me, they'd know." No. They would have guessed, maybe, but love isn't mind reading. It's responding to information. Say what you need, clearly. "I felt hurt. I need reassurance today." Honesty creates intimacy. Guessing games create distance. Fifth, stop confusing space with abandonment. Your partner has a bad day. They become quieter. Your brain immediately thinks, "They're pulling away." Sometimes they're just tired, and tired people go quiet for reasons that have nothing to do with you. People with insecure attachment react to possibilities. Secure people watch patterns. One quiet evening means nothing. Months of emotional neglect means something. Learn the difference, because reacting to a single data point as if it were a trend is one of the fastest ways to manufacture a crisis that was never actually there. Sixth, and this is where John Bowlby's work matters directly, stop letting your past interview your present. Your ex lied. Now honesty feels suspicious. Someone disappeared before. Now every delayed reply feels like history repeating itself. Bowlby explained that our earliest relationships become blueprints for future ones. But blueprints aren't destiny. They're drafts, and drafts can be revised once you know they're drafts. When your reaction feels bigger than the moment, ask yourself, is this about today, or is today touching an old wound? Sometimes the relationship doesn't need fixing. The memory does, and the two problems require completely different solutions, which is exactly why treating a memory like a present-day threat keeps solving the wrong problem over and over again. And finally, choose your relationship. every single day. Security doesn't mean never feeling anxious. It means making decisions from love instead of fear. So here's what to actually do differently starting today. Not wait for reassurance, but test the fear directly. If you knew with absolute certainty that you'd be okay on your own, would you still choose this relationship? If the answer is yes, that's love. If the answer is, I don't know who I'd be without them, that's fear, wearing love's clothes. Here's what most people get wrong. You don't become secure the day you meet the right person. You become secure the day you stop asking another human being to fix a fear they didn't create. Your partner cannot heal every wound. They can only meet the version of you that shows up. That's why security isn't something another person gives you. It's something your daily habits quietly build, one choice at a time, one conversation at a time, one ordinary day at a time. Because the strongest relationships aren't built by people who never feel afraid. They're built by people who stop letting fear make every decision. Secure, not certain. That's the goal.